Councillors, can I have your attention, please? I welcome you all to this meeting of the Kadinia Shire Council. This meeting started earlier in the day to consider a confidential matter, and I now reconvene the meeting. The meeting was initially scheduled from Monday, the 19th of September, but as a mark of respect following the sad passing of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II, the meeting was deferred until this evening. I take this opportunity to say a few words in tribute to Her Royal Highness. On Thursday, 8th of September, Her Majesty, our Queen, passed away at the age of 96, surrounded by her family at Balmoral Castle in Scotland, after dedicating a lifetime of service to the people of the Commonwealth nations. Our longest ever reigning monarch, Queen Elizabeth saw us through many difficult times and was always a beacon of stability and strength. The news of her passing was devastating for so many of us, and on behalf of Cardinia Shire Council, we offer our sincere condolences to the royal family and to the many people here in Victoria who feel her loss. I would now like to ask that we all please join together in a moment of silence in remembrance and reflection for Queen Elizabeth II. Thank you all. I will now continue with today's meeting. We will commence the meeting with the following reflection. I would ask those gathered to join us now for a few moments of silence as we reflect on our roles in this chamber. Please use this opportunity for reflection, prayer or thought to focus on our shared intention to work respectfully together for the well-being of our whole community. Thank you. Cardinia Shire Council respectfully acknowledges that we are on the traditional land of the Bunurong and Wurundjeri people and pay our respects to the elders, past, present and emerging. Apologies. Tonight, due to the deferral of the meeting, Councillor Brett Owen is not able to be in attendance this evening and has passed on his apology. Councillor Owen has asked me to publicly announce his intention to nominate as an independent candidate at the upcoming state election for the seat of Pakenham. Councillor Owen has advised me that he will be seeking a leave of absence from council once he has lodged his nomination in early November, and we wish Councillor Owen the greatest success at the election. And just to note, I'm passing this on for Councillor Owen because he can't be in attendance tonight, but he wanted to make the formal declaration at a council meeting that this was his intention to do so. So thank you, councillors. Councillors, can I have a motion, please, to adopt the minutes of the previous meeting as listed? Moved by Councillor Moore and seconded by Councillor Radford. All those in favour, please raise your hands. I declare that carried. Thank you, councillors. Declarations of interest. Councillors, does anyone have declarations of interest to declare? There being none, we will continue. Thank you. Ordinary business. Councillors have advised of the matters for consideration this evening that they wish to discuss or debate. The remaining items will be adopted without discussion unless a councillor particularly wishes to have that matter debated. The items listed for withdrawn for tonight's proceedings are as follows. Item 6.2.4, Kardinia Life Draft Scope and Staging, withdrawn by Councillor Davies. Councillor Davies to move.
Thank you, Mayor. Tonight I move the officer's recommendations as per the council report, these being that council endorses the draft scope for the entire Kardinia Life redevelopment project, notes that the redevelopment may need to be delivered in stages, endorses the report so that council officers can proceed and undertake concept and detailed designs of the entire Kardinia Life redevelopment, advocates to the state and federal governments for funding contribution, and notes that a future report will be presented to council on the project in 2023. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Davies. Can I have a seconder, please? Councillor Moore. Councillor Davies to speak first. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Thank you, Mayor Springfield, and thank you, Councillor Moore, for seconding the motion. Councillors, as proud members of our community and as users of Kardinia Life, we will all, based on our own experience, identify that the redevelopment of Kardinia Life is due. Our organisation confirmed this with a feasibility study we reviewed and endorsed last year. Whilst it is still a functional facility, it doesn't meet the standards for modern leisure and aquatic facilities, nor for the current and future community demand. This year, our council officers undertook extensive community engagement, from which 657 community submissions were received. I would like to thank each and every respondent and participant. Based on council's own feasibility studies and the community engagement, the following scope has now been redefined, and what is being proposed is, for the aquatics, the existing lap pool repurposed to a warm water pool, a new 50-metre indoor pool with 8 lanes at 2.5 metre widths. Indoor pool amenities will include accessible change facilities and a direct hoist for access to the warm water pool, a specific family change space, zero depth entry, a soft fall splash pad with large aquatic playground and interactive play features, all will be provided and accessible. There will be a small toddler pool, a spa, sauna and steam room, and a multi-purpose room on the pool deck with a kitchenette and small storage provided. There will also be pool deck seating serving all areas provided where possible. The health and fitness will be catered to with a 1,100 square metre gym space with 24/7 access, and potentially this gym will overlook the aquatics area. A group fitness room catering for 50 participants and large storage space. A cycle studio catering for 50 bikes and a large storage space. There'll be a yoga/Pilates studio, approximately 400 square metres and large storage, and a multi-purpose room with a kitchenette and a small storage. This is a provisional consideration and potentially will be used for the creche facility if applicable. The stadium will include 4 indoor stadium courts, newly constructed, a new show court and a seating area, a multi-purpose room. Stadium amenities will include lockable change rooms, large storage areas, unisex accessible referee change rooms, a small office space, a 1,550 square metre gymnastics facility at 12 metre roof height with viewing platforms and seating and large storage, and air conditioning and heating will be provided to the courts. The centre itself, the existing gym space is going to be repurposed to a wellness facility, a larger cafe with appropriate seating areas, increased car parking, well lit and sheltered paths through the parking to the entrance will be provided. More accessible parking bays, including deeper bays for unloading wheelchairs, will be addressed. A surveillance system, separate entrances for different activities, wheelchair access will be catered to through all entrances and turnstiles, air conditioning and heating throughout the building, merchandising, increased staff administration area and 2 outdoor sports courts which are lit and sheltered will be provided. Other considerations under investigation include the technology, the green rating and sustainability features, but more significantly, what is not in. The water slides. 21% of our respondents mentioned water slides and how they'd like them. Unfortunately, there's no Australian standards for water slides, and as Kardinia Life is seen to be not looking to compete with nearby facilities, and there's high operational costs, high maintenance costs and lots of downtime across the industry, this has been omitted from the brief. The diving facilities. Originally, this was even something I thought, why don't we have a diving facility? Where would I dive? I'd have to go to MSAC. But there's a very small proportion of people that actually do diving. It's a small sport. Now, the organised participation has been assessed at 3,000 adults per year, so 0.012% of people. So statistically, less than 14 people within Cardinia would be active diving athletes. So the construction of this infrastructure was seen as cost prohibitive. Squash was also suggested by 6% of our engagement respondents. This also hasn't been provided, just based on demand. And finally, another omission, which may be controversial, is indoor soccer and cricket. About 3% of engagement respondents mentioned an indoor cricket pitch. At Casey Stadium, there is a provision for this, and the Southeast Business Park. Yeah, once again, this is not included in the scope for Kardinia Life. Finally, the outdoor 25-metre pool, family aquatics and picnic facilities. This has not been included. Pakenham does have an outdoor pool, but space will be available on site. Interestingly, in all the engagement, this was not actually raised as a priority at the Kardinia Life redevelopment. So councillors, thank you for your time, and I would invite you to debate and discuss the topic. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Davies. I'll now go to the second of Councillor Moore to speak.
Thank you, Mayor, and it's an honour to second this particular item. I'm a well user of that particular facility, particularly the aquatics area of Cardinia Life. It was opened in 2006, if people can remember back that far, and a feasibility study, and I was there on the first day, by the way, just for information. And a feasibility study was conducted on 2013, and 2016. The new facility contractors were awarded the contract there. So now at 2021, they decided to have this engagement, this survey. And as my fellow councillor has detailed every item that came out of the survey, it's probably noted more than anything else, external funding is essential to have this survey, all this detailed progress further on through state and federal funding in the future. And of course, staging will
that still need doing, and we will still keep advocating for all the things that need doing. Heating and air conditioning were two big things that came out of the environment, even back in last term when I was first a councillor, and there was issues there as well. During summer and being there and feeling really hot and then in winter cold. So I have used the facilities not only for myself but for my children as well when they were younger, when it was first open. And looking at a hoist for people with disability, giving them full access to utilise the facilities that they can use and enjoy the same as everybody else. And I think that's one big thing that comes out, and supporting gymnastics, you know, but there's so many things that Councillor Davies went through, and I'm not going to go through it all because she's covered that very well. But I'd like to see, yes, the state and federal keep putting in a bit more funding and over the time that needs doing. So yes, I'll be in support of this to have all of these things put in line, if possible. Whatever we can get, we'll keep going. But the old saying is you can't make everyone happy. There's always going to be, we're not going to satisfy everyone, but we'll try our best as council and advocate for what the needs are within our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Rime. Councillor Ross.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you for withdrawing this item. This is a really important item. I can remember back in 1989 when I first started working in Pakenham, where our outlook is at BP Ronald Reserve, there was one basketball court and there were squash courts inside the same facility at the time. And the football ground where Pakenham played, which we actually got to play on, was at the same destination. That's when, and the pool was there as well. Come time down the track, I can remember when the basketball courts were built and there was no pool there. There was just 4 basketball courts, and the association actually ran it at that time on behalf of the council. And then we had the pool built, as Councillor Moore pointed out, the 25-metre pool. And in no time that was filled with people using it and swimming lessons and the above. And the old pool, which was at the con school site, where we used to have swimming lessons down there, which was that short where you swam, people's arms would hit the bottom of the pool. It was really the bicentennial pool. So we had a replacement for that. Then I can remember on council, we replaced, we put some extra basketball courts in, which took no time to be filled up. And the facility was used to a maximum again. Timac Valley Reserve was created around the time when the basketball courts were there, and the football club moved down there. So this is just part of the evolution of having, since I've been on council, 5 to 6 families a day moving in for the last 14 years, that you need to keep upgrading your facilities. And this here is our wish list in the line of $114 million to, it says, to do the whole lot of this as an approximate. This will have to be most definitely helped to be funded by state and federal governments. Because council cannot afford to do it without their support. It is an amazing facility that we'll finish up with for our residents and in Cardinia Shire. I think there's been a whole lot of work done into this and looked into. I am impressed with the fact that the people who are writing it finally came up with the idea that, you know, we will have proper cooling in the facility, which I know in the Oakley Rec Centre, with their new basketball centre and the whole lot of it, and gymnastic space, which is as big as 4 basketball courts. We have actually air conditioning, we have evaporative cooling in another section of it, and it is done. And it isn't as dear as what people think it is. But I must say, if you're going to have people in the climate that we have now trying to play basketball when it's 38 degrees outside, they need to have some sort of we have a duty of care to be looking after these people the best we can, and best practice is in these areas, and it is in this prospectus that we have here to make it best practice. Anyway, I just think it's an amazing thing. I know with this report it talks about the first staging of it, which would be really, really important to get it off the ground and get it running. I do see the cost of the first stage is $40 million. So that's going to need a hell of a lot of help from someone else, because we just can't give up a whole year's rates, not a whole year, but probably 8 months of the year's rates towards one facility. But anyway, this will be really, really well used. It's like having a pot that gets too big for the pot, a plant that gets too big for the pot. If you build it, they will come. And this facility here will be used in the future. So we just have to work on the advocacy, keep working on everyone that we can, and council will, as we always do, put some money towards all of these things appropriately in time. Anyway, I hope my fellow councillors support this. This would be a real coup that we could have in Pakenham, being, as the advocacy report says, that the majority of people, the largest amount of people live in the whole Shire, in the Pakenham precinct. Anyway. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Ross. Would any other councillors like to speak to this item? There being none, I'll go back to Councillor Davies to summarise. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, councillors, for your comments and feedback. As a councillor group, we've reviewed the development of this proposal, and I've heard wonderful stories about Kadinia life over the years. From Councillor Ryan about netball and the setup of the creche, from Councillor Moore about the indoor and outdoor swimming. He's still a current swimmer. From Councillor Ross also about his experience in gymnastics and through his volunteering and presidency at Waverley Gymnastics, how they've worked with the council to have an incredible facility. And I have my own reflections, you know, swimming lessons with my kids, mums and bubs when my now 8-year-old was a baby, walking there from my home in Lakeside, and when I didn't walk, the challenge of trying to find a car park. The decision for the intricacies of the scope and the facility is really hard, and I think we have all agreed on the heating and air conditioning. I am very grateful of and supportive of our staff and our executive in their efforts to date, and I want to express my thanks to the staff for their diligence. At a high level internal cost estimate was prepared, $114 million, 376,000. So a huge amount of money and comparable to other leisure and aquatic facility projects of a similar size. Council has already allocated $20 million in our 10-year capital budget. So there's a gap of nearly $100 million. So as a council, we need to commence our advocacy, our networking, and obtain state and federal contributions if we want to see this realised. And as Councillor Ross just said, we can't responsibly spend 8 months' rates on this as much as we'd like to. There are fortunately some passionate, great local people running for the new state of Pakenham, including Councillor Owen. And I think we need to start speaking to all the state candidates and our federal MP, Mr. Wood. There is so much community benefit here and it's all been quantified. The officer's report has also suggested that the work could be staged, proposing stage 1 to focus on the stadium, the 4 stadium courts, the gymnastics, the change rooms, the office space, storage and car parking, which came in at $40,614,276. A lot of money, but achievable. A former CEO at one of our neighbouring councils would often speak with excitement announcing new infrastructure, another jewel in our crown, and I'd like to borrow that. Kardinia Life is absolutely already a jewel in our crown, perhaps no longer polished, and it will become a glittering jewel in our crown after this development. It's a huge investment, huge benefit, but for our current and our future residents, and that's why we're here. Tonight, I'm seeking your vote to endorse the draft scope, the staging priorities and stage 1 of works. Upon endorsement, to proceed with the works, the next steps are going to be the business case development, procurement of the required consultants and architects for design work, further stakeholder engagement, and then the advocacy to secure the funding. Thank you, councillors.
Thank you, Councillor Davies. We will now put this to a vote. All councillors in favour, please put up your hands. I declare that carried. Thank you. Moving along to item 6.2.5, appointment of committee members to the Narnagoon North Hall Community Asset Committee, withdrawn by Councillor Moore. Councillor Moore to move.
Thank you, Mayor. I move to make the following appointments to the Narnagoon North Hall Community Asset Committee under Section 65 of the Local Government Act 2020.
Thank you, Councillor Moore. Can I have a seconder, please? Councillor Ross. Councillor Moore to speak first.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to name that new committee, name them personally. Kay Willis is the president. Greg Peck is the vice president. Erica Peck is the secretary. Dawla Harris is the assistant secretary. Heather Owen is the treasurer. Norman Gray is the committee member, and Heather Power is the committee member of this local facility. And I'm proud to move these people into this position. It's like local people looking after local facilities, Mr. Mayor. That a public meeting was held on the Thursday, the 11th of August, 2022. The members detailed in a recommendation, as I read, were elected to be appointed by Council to the Narnagoon North Hall Community Asset Committee for the current term as specified in the instrument of delegation, which for the next 2 years. This is a great, this hall is just down the road from my own residence, and so I know this hall very well. I pass it probably 2 or 3 times a day. So it's been there for many, many years and been handled by local community members and neighbours for all those years gone by. So I have no hesitation in moving that they get recommended to be the committee. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Moore. Councillor Ross, would you like to speak to this item?
Thank you, Mayor. These committees are really, really important, and they're becoming a rarity as people have got less time to volunteer for different things. No one will be more passionate about their own community asset than themselves. No one will understand the true needs of that facility more than the people who use it all the time. I think this is something that we really do need to, as Councillor Moore said, encourage and promote and celebrate these people taking on these duties in a time when we're finding so many reserve committees and that just don't have enough labour anymore to continue on, and council has to take them on. So I think we continue as a council to encourage them and help them where we can to make sure that they will exist, and if they need any help, that we can be there to help them. Anyway, thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Ross. Would any other councillors like to speak to this item? I will go back to the mover, Councillor Moore, to summarise. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. I was there at the AGM and conducted the AGM on that night. It was really great to be there. This particular committee run a old-time ballroom dancing night there once a month. It's the first Saturday night if you ever want to attend, and it's a fantastic night run by this committee. It's $5 miserable a head to go there, and they include supper and all. So it's a really back in times, and there's probably about I don't know, about 15 couples, I guess, on a good night. And I'm proudly attend the door and take the money on the door most nights on those nights. But it is a great night, and these people do more than you'll ever imagine, and they need to be congratulated as being heroes of our community, because that's hard to find, a rarity to find. Community members that like this, that will do these jobs and run these sort of operations for us as a council. So it's a pleasure to withdraw this item, Mr. Mayor. And thank you, Councillor Ross, for your second there and your kind words. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Moore. Councillors, we'll now put this to a vote. All those in favour, please raise your hand. I declare that carried. Thank you. Next on the agenda is item 6.2.6, Kardinia Creek Regional Parklands Future Directions Plan 2022, withdrawn by Councillor Radford. Councillor Radford to move.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, I'd like to move the officer's recommendations, which is that Council notes the Kardinia Creek Regional Parklands Future Directions Plan 2022 has recently been amended by the DWALP, and that the main changes include clarifying wording regarding investment to fund the implementation of the plan. These changes maintain the shared strategic direction for the Parklands, but do not include the details of any funding for implementation. 2, endorses the Kardinia Creek Regional Parklands Future Directions Plan 2022. And finally, writes to DWALP project lead for the preparation of the plan, advising of its resolution, expressing concern that there is no funding commitment to the implementation of the plan, and requesting funding is allocated to ensure the outcomes of the plan can be delivered. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Radford. Can I have a seconder, please? Councillor Ross. Councillor Radford to speak first.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Councillor Ross, for your second. I'd also like to just quickly thank the authors of this report. It's very comprehensive, and so I'd just like to thank them for their time in putting this together. As I said, this is a comprehensive plan which is attached to the agenda item that you can find on the Council's website. So tonight I'm just briefly highlighting from the report. The Kardinia Creek Regional Parklands Future Directions Plan, which is this here, is a high-level strategic document that sets out a vision, principles and directions for the progressive establishment, expansion and management to be achieved by 2040. The vision is the Kardinia Creek Regional Parklands is a connected parklands providing distinct experiences for visitors to recreate and engage with the natural environment while conserving the cultural and ecological values of Kardinia Creek, its floodplain and open spaces for future generations. The Parklands includes and links much loved existing parks, including Kardinia Creek Regional Park and Grassmere Wetlands, Akuna Park, Beaconsfield Flora and Fauna Reserve, Beaconsfield Recreation Reserve, Beaconsfield Park, Managum Park, McMorland and Bob Burgess Reserve. These links were highlighted as important by the community during the consultation period and was integral to the development of the plan. This plan also forms the basis for design and implementation planning of the Parklands over the next 10 to 15 years and will help identify future funding and partnership opportunities. The Future Directions Plan has been developed by the Kardinia Creek Regional Parklands partners. The partners include the Bunurong Land Council Aboriginal Corporation, Parks Victoria, Melbourne Water, City of Casey, Cardinia Shire Council, and the Department of Environment, Land, Water and Planning, also referred to, which I will refer to as DWELP. DWELP has been leading the Cardinia Creek Regional Parklands Refresh Project, working collaboratively, my tongue got stuck, with all partners and supporting project partners who are Akuna Park Committee of Management and the Beaconsfield Recreation Reserve Committee of Management. So there's a lot of stakeholders involved in this. The Parklands partners will work together to develop the Parklands collaboratively in line with the vision, principles and management zones set out in the plan. This plan will expand the Cardinia Regional Parklands by working towards a continuous chain of parks and reserves and an open space that will provide well-being, cultural and environmental benefits for the wider community. The Parklands will encompass more than 600 hectares of parkland from Beaconsfield to Clyde on both sides of Cardinia Creek. The lands and water of the Cardinia Creek Regional Parklands are part of the traditional country of the Bunurong and is considered by elders to have important spiritual significance due to its direct connection to gathering places, ritual places and ritual journeys, and is connected to numerous intangible aspects of the Bunurong heritage. The draft Future Directions Plan was presented for community consultation from 25th May to 23rd June 2022. Majority of the respondents were either very satisfied or satisfied with the commitments outlined in the draft plan. And attached to this agenda item, you can find a detailed outline of the feedback that was received. The draft plan was then revised in response to this feedback from the community and project partners, and attached to this item is the Cardinia Creek Regional Parklands Future Directions Plan 2022, which is being presented to Council tonight for endorsement. It is important to note that there will be financial and resource requirements from Cardinia Shire Council for the implementation of the actions included within the plan. So it is important for Council to endorse the officer's recommendations tonight, requesting funding is allocated from the project lead, DWELP, to ensure that these outcomes of the plan can be delivered. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Radford. I'll now go to the seconder, Councillor Ross, to speak.
Thank you, Mayor. Councillor Radford spelled out clearly the benefits to the environment and the community with this implementation plan. It seems really the big question about some of this notice of motion, not only accepting the implementation plan, but also too, it's very interesting to see that the draft plan was slightly different to what the finishing plan was. And the most important thing that got lost was a funding commitment in the final words. That is what we need to write to them about, because as Councillor Radford pointed out, this isn't cheap if you do things properly. And they've pointed out all the things we need to do, and we would love to do them, but we've been in partnership so far in forming this plan, and it appears without the funding commitment written into the piece like it was there in the draft, we could get left holding the booty on this, and this is quite embarrassing for them in some ways, because you drop out right at the last minute, but you want to be partners. Well, we want to be partners, but we'd like to be partners that put in equal share for it, and we would like to see their commitment. So that's why we will write to them, asking them about their commitment to this in a funding request to be allocated. Anyway, I look forward to their response. I think this is an excellent plan. I think the work that's been done so far will really have some unique benefits into the future with our environment or plans on council, and for the local community benefiting from it as well. Anyway, I hope my fellow councillors will support this, putting it forward, and endorses the plan, as well as the writing to DELT to try and find out what they're going to do in this space. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Ross. Would any other councillors like to speak? Councillor Davies.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Councillor Radford and Councillor Ross, for your words. I would just briefly like to say that this plan is very important. It's a very important recreational and environmental space, which is exciting for our Shire. It's clearly been a huge amount of work for the staff involved. Thank you to the staff and contractors of DELWIP and more broadly to all involved. I do echo the sentiments of the other councillors and the concerns. It is really disappointing that no funding is indicated. Unfortunately, this has happened before, and projects and investments that look great on paper aren't realised. I absolutely support council writing to DELWIP and sharing this concern. I do hope that this feedback is received in good faith and the investment comes in our reserve and its benefits will be realised. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Davies. Would any other councillors like to speak to this item? I will now go back to the mover, Councillor Bradford, to summarise.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Councillor Ross and Councillor Davies, for your words. So at the heart of this plan, it recognises and embeds the rights and values of the traditional owners, the Bunurong people, in the planning and management of the parklands, and responds to the continued urban expansion in the region. It responds with the pressing need to mitigate climate change, protect and enhance biodiversity, and contribute to improved community health and wellbeing. The plan outlines the expanded area of regional parklands with the main purpose to protect new areas of biodiversity values on both sides of the creek and create new and improved access and links between a network of existing parks and reserves along Kardinia Creek, which was identified as very important to the community throughout the community consultation. The parklands will provide many benefits, and the plan focuses on 5 objectives: healthy country, healthy ecosystems, healthy people, resilient communities, and collaborative governance. These benefits are important, so it's important to ensure that the outcomes of this plan can be delivered. So I seek support from my fellow councillors to endorse the officer's recommendation, which includes requesting a funding commitment from DELWIP to ensure the implementation of this plan can be delivered. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Bradford. I will now put this to a vote. All councillors in favour, please raise your hand. I declare that carried. Thank you. Moving along to item 6.2.8, the 2022 Victorian State Election Advocacy Material, withdrawn by Councillor Bradford. Councillor Bradford to move.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, I would like to move the officer's recommendations, which is that Council endorse the key themes of the campaign and the advocacy pack, enabling the Council members to use it in their advocacy work for the 2022 Victoria State Election, and note the priorities of the Interface Council's advocacy platform. Thank you.
Thank you. Can I have a seconder, please? Councillor Kowalczyk. Councillor Bradford to speak first.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Councillor Kowalczyk, for seconding. This advocacy pack is very exciting, and I would like to publicly acknowledge the dedication, time and commitment put into Council's advocacy pack by Shay Hansen. Thank you so much, Shay. This really is incredible work. This is the first time that Council has put together such a detailed advocacy pack leading up to a state election, and residents can view and read this pack on the Creating Kardinia website. It looks a bit like that. Sorry, you got the idea. The purpose of this pack is to provide councillors guidance on the top initiatives that Kardinia Shire Council will actively promote throughout the 2022 state election campaign. It's an easy to read document that can be easily shared with councillors' networks via email or hard copy. The advocacy campaign plan is Kardinia calls for. Kardinia calls for better public transport, better mental health, better access to jobs, better, safer roads, better sports and recreation, better community places and services, better protection for our environment. The Kardinia calls for campaign are priorities that were identified by the community throughout 2020 and 2021 when Council undertook its largest ever community consultation through the Imagine Kardinia project. Council asked residents for their feedback and ideas on the issues that mattered to them. This feedback has helped ensure that the 2022-2023 advocacy priorities reflected residents' aspirations and focuses on raising awareness and generating support for the priorities most important to them. The Mayor and CEO have actively been sharing this advocacy pack with candidates running in the state election, and it has been very well received. This item also asks for Council to note the priorities of the IFEC advocacy platform, which is the Interface Councils. This is a group of 10 municipalities that form a ring around metropolitan Melbourne and advocate for better services and infrastructure for its residents and works with all levels of government. Interface Week 2022 being held in October will provide an opportunity for Interface Councils to meet with portfolio holders and outline the group's priorities for the 2022 election year. The IFC advocacy platform is attached to this agenda item on Council's website, and these priorities align with Cardinia Shire Council's advocacy campaign. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Radford. Councillor Kowalczyk to speak.
Thank you, Mayor. Excuse me. Thanks, Councillor Radford, for moving this item. This is a great advocacy pack. You hit the nail on the head. I also want to thank Shire, Andrew Pomeroy, Debbie Tyson, Kat Hodgins, and all our staff for putting it together, because I think not only the contents of it great, but it looks fantastic. And I think that's really important coming up to the state election. So well done to our team. I also want to mention that every project within this pack is truly worthy of being there, and if supported by candidates who are running in the state election, would add great value to all residents of Cardinia Shire and all of Victoria when it comes to the second pack in the documents tonight. There are 5 projects I just want to quickly highlight that I think are of great significance. The first one is the redevelopment of Kardinia Life, and obviously the project was brought up earlier in great depth, so I won't carry on about it too much, but this massive upgrade and expansion is sorely needed to bring the facility to a truly regional standard and to account for the increases in population growth in the area, as well as the popularity of the sports and activities that it hosts. So I think that was well covered before. It is a lot of money, it is a big project, but it's absolutely important. Second project would be a new Princes Highway and Timac Valley Road intersection. Now it sounds small, but this proposed upgrade would include traffic signals to improve safety and congestion, especially during peak periods. And if you live in the area, you'll know the wait times at this intersection can be astronomical, and the risks that people take going across the highway or pulling out of the intersection can be extremely dangerous. So that's a very important one from a safety perspective. The PB Ronald Reserve Upgrade Project. This is in Councillor Ryan's ward in the middle of Pakenham. Residents know this reserve well. It's a big space, and unfortunately it's fair to say that it's pretty old and tired. This project would upgrade the existing skate park and other sport and rec facilities, replace and upgrade picnic areas, improve pathways and create a new event space. It will give residents a space they can be proud of, so I think that's really worthy. The Racecourse Road Duplication Project. Councillors will know of commitments from the previous federal government that seeks to duplicate Racecourse Road from the freeway to Henry Street, which was well received, but as we know, did not go far enough. When the developments in Pakenham East are complete, Henry Street to the highway will be an even busier stretch of road, and for residents in the northern and eastern parts of Pakenham as well as Narnagoon, getting onto the old highway to head home will become a traffic nightmare. Notice of Motion 1067, adopted by Council on the 19th of July 2021, advocates for this project. I think this is a project that shows foresight. It'll reduce traffic congestion and will provide a vital strategic link for our community. So I'd really like that project to be considered. I do think that it's needed sooner rather than later. And finally, I know I'm running short on time, the Pakenham Revitalization Project. We know that Pakenham, Councillor Ross mentioned this before, we know that Pakenham is home to half of Cardinia Shire's residents, with Pakenham expanding to the point of having many pockets of estates and many townships within it. and that central point of our town is struggling with congestion, and this project will support early works to revitalise central Pakenham. The increase in livability, amenity and community satisfaction, as well as economic impact, is crucial for the future of Pakenham. And I think for the state seat of Pakenham, which is what we're talking about, is a really, really significant project. I'll leave it there. Thanks, Mayor. Thanks, Councillor Radford.
Thank you, Councillor Kowalczyk. Would any other councillors like to speak to this item? Councillor Ross.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to just highlight a few things, observations out of this. This is a wonderful addition to our advocacy, seeing and identifying the things that we need in our community and that can be enhanced and supported with the goals of the council and the community. There is one big thing that I've noticed over 6 federal elections and 3 state elections since I've been on council. The amazing thing is, quite often there should be some fine print written on promises that are announced, because quite often they're not 100% funded. The booty falls on the council to make up the rest of the funding, provide the project managers and the whole lot. And when it isn't done quick enough, we get blamed that we haven't done it in time. So this needs to be really highlighted when these people make promises, that it isn't just a front page of the paper to say, I'm going to do this, and then it goes in and we'll work it out later. It needs to be determined how much money is going to come from them and what council's commitment is. And I always ask this at elections to the CEO and to our finance team, what do the promises actually mean? How many tens of millions do we need to put in to make these things happen? So, and this has happened in the past, and I know because I'm on the National Growth Areas Authority Strategic Planning Committee, and you hear this from all the councils in the growth areas around Australia, particularly in some of the growth corridors. We get promised so many things because there's marginal seats, but then when it comes to actually making it hit the ground, we need to make sure that their promises really properly funded. I mean, I know in the last state election, we had issues whereby we had all these extra projects put on. In federal elections, we had to put on another 4 project managers. Who pays for the project managers if you can't get them and the price that you pay? We do, the ratepayers. It sounds great when you're going to put some money in, and quite often too what you'll discover is that 100% isn't put in on these projects. Council might have 20%, 50% of money to have to match to make it happen, which often means we have to jerk our budget round for people who have been promised to have things for 10 years, 8 years, 5 years, and they're written in our strategic plan to give them money and to make their project happen. And then we actually have to move their project back to put their money towards some other projects that have been determined for us. Anyway, I think it is so urgent that we get things given to us. It is really, really important, but it needs to be done in a way that it is really going to enhance the community and not send us back. So anyway, I think it's a great pack this is. It really highlights and outlines, but there needs to be an asterisk put on it to find out who is actually going to pay the whole lot and when the money's going to come. Anyway, thank you. This is really good, and I hope that we get some really good promises at this state election from all people who can deliver, and we can make these things happen for the community. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Ross. Councillor Ryan.
Thank you, through you, Mayor. Thank you to all the councillors so far. It's always interesting to hear people put out there what's happening within our community, and this is the work that we do with the teams that we work with within our council. And thank you to the team. They've worked really, really hard. I really appreciate everything they do. But I think they know that we do appreciate all the work they do. Without them, we can't do our job. I'm going to go down a different path of some of the things here. We talk about in the pack, better public transport. We've been asking for that for a long time, and hopefully when our new station happens, that will improve. An hour waiting for a bus line is not good enough, and we have been advocating for so long, and it's been on deaf ears as far as I'm concerned and the public's concerned. So that's very frustrating. So we've got to advocate hard for that. We've got to advocate hard for the access to jobs, safer roads. And I'm asking the residents to be a little bit patient, because councillors have to be patient, so do officers. But we're getting there. Better community places and services. And one of the things that I'm really passionate about that is on the list here, and I'm so pleased, I've been working on mental health services within the community and working within partnerships since I came into council, so that's a good 5 years. And now it's finally, we're advocating for it in such a way that it's become wonderful, because we've worked on many, many other things within council, and I appreciate everything council has done and all the people I've worked with within council in mental health. 1 in 4 people die of mental health, and that's committing suicide. And we're trying to prevent that by getting services out here. It's important that we get services out here. It's time that our candidates and our politicians stop doing the talk and start doing the walk, because that's been the downfall, where we continually advocate on issues within our community, but we're not being heard. We see the city happen. Yes, they have more funding, but at the same time, we need funding down here. We still have to survive in our community. We still have to have safe environments. We still have to have, from the Royal Commission, as it's stated, in mental health, that we need to have these services within our areas down here. So I am so proud to say thank you to the teams that have been working so hard on this pack. I really appreciate it. And the same as Councillor Kwasik mentioned, the PB Ronald Reserve. Many years waiting for that. It is looking drab and very sad. And you know, there's many other things within this pack, but I'm not going to go down there. I think one of the big things is that I've got my point across, the same as other councillors have all got their passion, and together with all our passion has become this pack. And we will be advocating very hard for state and federal funding, because it's time that they start doing this walk. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Ryan. Would any other councillors like to speak to this? Councillor Cameron.
Thank you, Mayor. And thank you for the advocacy pack. It's very comprehensive. And to the point. Just want to reiterate what Councillor Ryan said in relation to better transport, and that also reflects in transport to the regional rural areas of Kuirup and Langlang, which are desperate for transport, which then equates to them being able to access jobs. So if they don't have the transport, they can't get to the jobs. The other thing that I'm very pleased to see is the advocacy for the Langlang sand track bypass of the township of Langlang, which will be fantastic if we can get the money for that before either a school child or somebody elderly or anybody is hit by a sand truck in the main street of Langlang. So that would be just amazing to get that done. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Councillor Cameron. Would any other councillors like to speak to this item? I'm just going to say a couple of words before going back to the mover of this item. Look, I think this is fantastic work that the council has done, the council officers have put together for this advocacy pack. It's a bit different than what we've done in the past. We've never had something so comprehensive, and we're able to take a lot of the work we've done with the community over the last couple of years, developing our livability plan, capture these sentiments that were expressed by community members, and helped roll this into a list of priorities as we see these 8 key priority areas. What's important to note is that a lot of these services that we've mentioned here, they're not things that council does deliver or can deliver, but we understand it's so vital, such as public transport, such as mental health for our local community, but it's beyond the remit of council to be delivering on each of these services. So this is our opportunity to be advocating, to the state government, and we did so similarly back earlier this year to the federal government, when it comes time to elections, to really highlight what our community is calling out for, and highlighting the gaps that we can currently see exist within our network in the community, and advocating for such projects as this. So I think this is a great piece of work. It covers something that's in everyone's backyard within this council chamber. It's got something that affects everyone's own passions and their own interests, and it's a really diverse mix that ticks a lot of boxes and gives a lot of opportunity for all the different candidates and members to look into the current state government and the opposition, to understand, you know, what the needs are out here. And I think if it's delivered to them simply, all they have to do is say yes and pull out the checkbooks, so to speak. But look, I'd like to take a moment to also give my appreciation to that, you know, the current government and previous governments, both federal and state, that have delivered much for our community in the past. And this pack is not saying we've never had anything from you guys ever. We have had good delivery in the past from candidates and from our local members. But that's because we have a good working relationship, I think, through councillors and council staff with the state departments. And this advocacy pack is a continuation of that, really highlighting some of the key needs. And hopefully when it comes in the coming months, we will see a lot of these projects promised and delivered upon. And I think that'd be a great outcome for our entire community as a whole. So thank you, councillors, for your time and consideration on this. I'll now go back to the mover, Councillor Radford, to summarise. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you to all the councillors who highlighted some of those priorities. I was hoping when I withdraw this, I didn't have to highlight every single one, and you would all join in, which did happen. So thank you very much. This is a strong advocacy pack, and I do hope that the candidates understand that this is directly created from our residents, from the community consultation. So it will be great to get some election promises, which will then eventuate into some commitments. To conclude, I would like to again thank Shay Hansen for this outstanding advocacy pack. It really is a piece of work to be proud of. I would also like to thank Kat Hodgins and all involved from the communications team for the awesome layout of this pack. It looks amazing. And the website, it's so easy to just click on one of the priorities and read all about it. So everything is just so easy. This pack really does look incredible, easy to read, as I've said, and so professional. So well done to everyone involved with it. I also wanted to just quickly thank the Gazette for last week's great spread in their edition last week, highlighting what the Kardinia calls for advocacy pack was and what the priorities were. I think that helps to get it out there, helps to reinforce it with our candidates, and our community knows what we are advocating for on their behalf. And that's important. Everybody needs to understand what we're doing and why. I think it would also be very remiss of me not to mention the outstanding work our Mayor, Councillor Springfield, has done this year, advocating for a federal election and now for the state election. I've been in some of these meetings and I'm really impressed with how you conduct those meetings, the information you pass on, the level of detail you have on all these priorities. And I can see that this information provided is really well received by the candidates. So thank you to our Mayor. So tonight I seek my fellow councillors' support in endorsing this advocacy pack and note the Interface Council's advocacy priorities. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Radford. We will now put this to a vote. All councillors in favour, please raise your hand. I declare that item carried. Thank you. Moving along to item 6.4.3, Financial Report and Performance Statement 2021 to 2022, withdrawn by Councillor Kowalczyk. Councillor Kowalczyk to move.
Thank you, Mayor. I move that Council 1, pursuant to Section 99(2) of the Local Government Act 2020, Council gives its approval in principle to the financial statements and performance statement for the year ended 30 June 2022, subject to any changes recommended or agreed to by the Auditor. 2, pursuant to Section 99(3) of the Local Government Act 2020, Council authorises myself, Councillor Kowalczyk and Councillor Radford to certify the financial statements and performance statements for the year ended 30 June 2022 in their final form after any changes recommended or agreed by the Auditor have been made in accordance with the Local Government Planning and Reporting Regulations 2020. And 3, Scott Moore, Chief Finance Officer, is appointed as the Principal Accounting Officer for the purposes of Section 99 3B of the Local Government Act 2020.
Thank you, Councillor Kowalczyk. Can I have a seconder, please? Councillor Radford. I'll go to you, Councillor Kowalczyk, to speak first.
Thank you, Mayor Springfield. Thank you, Councillor Radford, for your second. Council is required to prepare an annual report in respect to the financial year ended 30th of June 2022, as per the Local Government Act 2020. This includes a general financial report and a performance statement, which is included in the report, and I encourage interested members in the community to read it. Council remains in a strong position overall, with improvements in community satisfaction with council decisions, planning decisions being upheld at VCAT, and a strong ratio of current assets compared to current liabilities. Our adjusted underlying result remains in deficit, albeit with improvement from last year. It was reduced by $500,000 in 2021-22, despite an $8.6 million materials and services expense increase for the transfer of capital project expenditure to operating, where asset capitalisation accounting requirements were not met. This related to projects such as Cooyrup School upgrades, Glisman and Princess Highway intersection upgrades, and Princess Highway and O'Neill Road intersection upgrades. Employee costs increased due to increases in the enterprise agreement rate, staff numbers, and superannuation guarantee levy rate. Contributing to the result were increases in rates and charges income due to rate cap and growth, and operating grants, primarily in financial assistance grants. Although the ratio is negative and indicates a risk to council, the surplus for the year was $61.49 million, and council's operating position is backed by a significant accumulated surplus and reserves balances. One of the reasons I wanted to withdraw this item was to highlight our finance team, led by Jenny Cicluna and Scott Moore, and thank them for their hard work over a sustained period of time. Also, the independent auditors on our Audit and Risk Committee, as well as the Victorian Auditor General's Office, and my fellow Audit and Risk Committee member, Councillor Radford. This is a statutory requirement for all councils to undertake this process, and our residents can have confidence in the financial position of this council. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Kowalczyk. Go to the seconder, Councillor Radford, next.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Councillor Kowalczyk, for withdrawing this item. Yeah, it's been an honour actually to be on this committee. It's a very good, well-organised committee. Fantastic questions. Very happy with the independent committee members who have asked great questions, and I've been very happy with the answers. So I'm very comfortable and confident to have my signature now put onto this document. I also just wanted to note that Councillor Davies had been on this committee but had a cute little baby, so has been on maternity leave. So I stepped in to be a part of those meetings, as we're required 2 councillors and 3 independents. So that was it. I think Councillor Kowalczyk summed up everything else very well. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Radford. Would any other councillors like to speak on this item? Yep, Councillor Davies.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Councillor Kowalczyk, for withdrawing and speaking to this. Thank you, Councillor Radford, for joining the committee in my place while I was on leave. I believe that financial management is essential, and I do encourage all councillors to read and consider this. Our privilege of being elected onto council isn't always glamorous. Scrutinising numbers isn't my first choice for fun, but our collective oversight provides our community with representation for the short, medium and long-term sustainability for the organisation and its numerous essential services. Fortunately, there's plenty of finance training available to us, and I personally have benefited and learnt from this. Your vote tonight is approving the statements as listed in the report, and you're authorising Councillor Kowalczyk and Councillor Radford to sign off on this. This may include further changes recommended or agreed to by the auditors. This is a requirement under the Local Government Act. So I am voting in support of this, and I do want to express my thanks to the Audit and Risk Committee. So that includes Councillors Kowalczyk and Radford, and Senior Council Officers Ms Tyson and the CEO Ms Jeffs for their diligent work. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Davies. Councillor Ross.
Thank you, Mayor. I must say this is a really good recommendation to put up to council. I can remember when I was first on the Audit and Risk Committee, back my first term on council, we had the Vago attend every single meeting the Victorian Auditor General's office, because Council of the Day back before 2008 owed over $50 million and we were getting $36 million in rates per year. 130 or 140% we owed over what we were bringing in. I think the ratio was about 80% that you had to have in that ratio to be sustainable, or them to consider you to be sustainable. Over the years, Council have brought this down as the rates have been going up and we've been covering our loans into a really good area where they no longer have to attend our meetings. We're actually seen as one of the councils in Victoria that actually they come to have a look at what we do in this space, particularly when rate capping came in. They knew that we ran a really tight ship. They knew how to reduce our costs in different ways to make things sustainable. Mind you, the Growing Suburbs Fund was always a really big bonus that we urgently needed it. I must say this set of numbers just gives the community assurance that Council does bring things in line. We do take it seriously, and if they want to look through the numbers and have it explained to them, we always have council officers who are happy to meet with them if people come to our council meetings. Or we've seen in the past many people come, they have a chat with their financial team who are happy at any time to explain to them what it all means. Anyway, I know some of my fellow councillors have pointed out some of the highlights in this, but I think this is really good that we are managing to hold ourselves in a sustainable way in a very, very challenging time. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Ross. Would any other councillors like to speak to this item? Before going back to the mover, I'll just quickly note and thank Councillor Kowalczyk and Councillor Radford for their work in this space, and previously thank Councillor Davies for her work in this space previously. But thank you, and I too am supportive of this proceeding. So I'll now go back to the mover, Councillor Kowalczyk, to summarise. Thank you.
Thank you, man. Thanks for your kind words, and thank you to my fellow councillors who voiced their support. It is appreciated. It is recommended that Council approve the financial statements and performance statements and authorise myself and Councillor Radford to sign the documents in their final form. The performance statement of Cardinia Shire Council for the year ended 30 June 2022 presents fairly the results of Council's performance in accordance with the Local Government Act 2020 and the Local Government Planning and Reporting Regulations 2020. The performance statement contains the relevant performance indicators, measures and results in relation to service performance, financial performance and sustainable capacity. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Kowalczyk. We will now put this to a vote. All councillors in favour, please raise your hands. I declare the item carried. Thank you. Moving along, that concludes discussions of the items withdrawn. Are there any other matters listed in the agenda that councillors would also wish to discuss or debate? There being none, thank you, councillors. Can I please have a mover to adopt the officer's recommendations for the remaining items? Councillor Radford, seconded by Councillor Moore. All those in favour, please raise your hands. I declare that carried. Thank you, councillors. We'll now move on to councillor reports. And councillors, do you have any matters you wish to report on? Councillor Radford.
Thank you, Mayor. I think it's been a pretty big month for all of us. So I'll just mention a couple of things. I'd like to congratulate the Pakenham Eels Rugby Club. They had organised with the NRL State to have the grand final series all run here at Comley Banks Reserve. So Comley Banks has just opened up earlier this year. So this is their first season there. I was able to meet with some of the NRL representatives, the president, who all commented on how fantastic this facility was, and very excited to see it being used as a regional facility. So I'd like to congratulate the Pakenham Eels who hosted and ran the day. It started, I think, at 8 o'clock and didn't finish till 7 o'clock that night. Would have had thousands of people coming into our Shire on that day, and it was a really great event and a job well done. So I also just wanted to quickly mention the Kardinia Carers Catch-Up, the inaugural one. This is something that's been in the works for a long time, something the community has wanted, those who are carers. It was a great opportunity. I went along as a carer, not a counsellor, and just being in the room and being able to connect with other carers and discuss the ins and outs of our daily routine, the difficulties at times that is, but there's also positives. We got some lunch, we got tea and coffee, we heard from some great speakers. So that's going to continue moving forward, and so I look forward to that group growing throughout the Shire. I know everyone will want to mention this, but I'll just mention the Good Choice Awards, which is acknowledging amazing youth in each of our wards. So I'd just again like to congratulate my the children in Officer Ward for the amazing stuff that they're doing. It's just outstanding, and I'd love to congratulate the youth team for an amazing event that night. And finally, the citizenship ceremony held, or now I can't remember, last Saturday or the Saturday before, which was also Australian Citizenship Day. So congratulations to everyone. Again, so well organised by our team here at Cardinia Shire. It's always a fun day and such an honour to be part of this special day for those becoming an Australian citizenship. So that's all from me. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Radford. Councillor Kwasik next.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. It has been a busy period, Councillor Radford, and obviously with 5 weeks between meetings, there've been a lot of great events going on. I attended the Curry Schools event, and there was obviously our Mayor and Deputy Mayor there too, which was supported by the Department of Education. A really fantastic event, which brought together, I think it was around 200 students and 25 primary and secondary schools from Cardinia Shire to learn and celebrate Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander culture. It was a great event. I was down there for just a short amount of time, but saw some featured artists. I saw Richmond Football Club down there facilitating traditional games. There was representatives from Casey Aboriginal Gathering Place and Council's Youth Services team providing activities. So really fantastic to see so many kids there having fun all together. It was a really great event. Councillor Radford mentioned the Good Choice Awards, but it was a really special night put on by our Youth Services team. And so the night was about recognising local young people for making good choices, whether it was about school, employment, health and safety, accessing assistance to help them with life challenges, choosing positive social connections, and also providing positive contributions to the community and giving back. So that was a really great event, and well done to all the local children. There was a little bit of ward-specific rivalry on the night, but really everyone deserves a big pat on the back for that. I also had the opportunity to speak to a class of grade 5 students at Lakeside College about democracy, different levels of government, Australian values, and the different services that council provides. I just want to say thank you to the kids and the teacher, Daniel Wolf, for the invitation. It was an absolute real highlight of my time on council so far. I had a great time. The kids were switched on, asked fantastic questions, so I think the future is bright in Kardinia. It was really, really good. A few other councillors and myself attended the Biggest Blokes Lunch. A great event. I won't go on about it too much. I know other people want to talk about it, but a lot of money was raised for men's health initiatives, including prostate cancer. So that was really special. There was also a few more, but I'll probably wrap it up. But Emerging from Fire art exhibition at the Cultural Centre, a creative recovery project launch with Councillor Moore. Great event, obviously, which has helped to bring the community closer after the Bunyip Complex bushfires in 2019. Going back a little while now, we had the My Play Youth Facility 10th birthday, which a lot of councillors attended. Coffee with a Cop at Pakenham Marketplace. We've had Pakenham CBD safety meetings and the launch of the pictorial history book from Pakenham. So a lot of great events on, and obviously a lot more as we head into the warmer months. So plenty to look forward to. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Kowalczyk. Would any other councillors like to speak? Councillor Ryan.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, other councillors. Always great to hear where everyone else has been, all different activities in our wards, but also we all come together with some activities within whatever ward it is, like the awards we were talking about with the youth, the Good Choice Awards. That was a fantastic night. We're all passionate about. We had the opportunity to choose someone within the groups that were selected that stood out, that was that went above and beyond their capacity that they thought they could go. And it was a hard choice for all of us to choose from all the selections that we were given, but it was a fun night. And I met a young girl there that she talked about dancing, but she was too frightened to get up. So I think Councillor Moore and I had a bit of a competition going on there at one stage. And, you know, by the end of the night, she had so much confidence in herself that she's going to go and have some dancing lessons. So I really thought that that was really just that just a simple night of achievement was fantastic. Of course, the book launch with Audrey Dodson, fantastic book. If you get the opportunity, there's more on sale. Please buy one because it supports our community as well. I had a meeting with the Men's Shed. We're talking about, you know, what we can do to help them, like we do with all other organisations that we go and meet up with. Great organisation, always helping the community. So I always look forward to going there because they spoil you when you get there. And I learned some new trades as well along the way, how to use some of my tools at home. And my place, yes, the 10th year anniversary. Thank you to the youth workers. They did such a fantastic job. It's hard work to get a level of our youth to really believe in themselves and trust themselves that they can achieve anything that they put themselves to with the support behind them. And that's what my place is all about. So I really appreciate going there continually and keeping up with them. I went to a show called the Bangarra Indigenous Dance Show, and it was on at the Melbourne Arts Centre. And it's an Indigenous group and fantastic dancers. I was just so overwhelmed and bewildered at some stages trying to work out the storyline because there was no talking in it. It was all in the dance and the dance movements and the expression on their faces. It was just fantastic. Now, this group puts it on in and around out of Melbourne as well as a lot at the Melbourne Arts Centre. So it's on the internet. I would recommend anyone go and see some of the Indigenous dance companies because they are absolutely fantastic and they really tell the Australian story. Because we had a new hotel open up, that was all in the paper, so I don't need to mention that one. I went to seniors network meeting held at Cockatoo Bowling Club. Absolutely fantastic. We got out there and started bowling and I wasn't very good because I couldn't bend down far enough. So they kept telling me I was bouncing the ball too far. So, but it was a great enjoyment, but it was about seniors networking, finding out about different services that they're eligible to, as well as not only for the support for themselves, but support for their families. Went to the Central Plaza couple of days during the week, and that was with Ageing Well. It was about having a table there with activities and information services for our seniors and what else they could be involved in within the community. So we had great support there, and that'll be in something that's going to be a continual basis within our community to just get it out there, get the information out there. And next month is Mental Health Month, starting the 1st of October. It goes for the whole month, and there's lots and lots of activities, free activities that will be on the internet from Mental Health Foundation. So if you go on the internet and just click on mental health, just type in mental health, it'll come up with all the information that you need. And Cardinia Shire will have it on the website as well. So we're working on some things. That's why councillors are wearing green ribbons to represent Mental Health Month. And I think some of the things that, you know, with Mental Health Month is what will it look like? How will it work? And the more we get out there and talk about it, the more we are aware of the services, the more we are aware that we can help families. It's about a family unit. It's not just about one person. So so please get involved in Mental Health Week, even if it's just a donation, but it's all on the website. So that I'll leave that at that. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Ryan. Councillor Ross.
Thank you, Mayor. It's an exciting time to hear what everyone's doing. Everyone's really, really busy getting out in the community and meeting with them and sharing with them the exciting things that are happening. Just a few highlights over the last month or so from myself. I, as well, with Councillor Radford, attended the Cumberland Banks Reserve for the Victorian Rugby League Association's finals. Apparently all the other places that they looked at and they were going to have the event were all underwater, so they couldn't have them. So our new facility down here just happened to have no mud on the ground at all, and they used them, and they were absolutely unbelievably impressed with the new facilities, which is a compliment to council and to the group themselves, who have advocated amazingly well. I think they've got over 1,000 people play down at their club now, which includes the summer competition of touch football as well. So we attended that. That was wildly successful, really, really well populated by so many people who come around from Victoria to attend the event. I too, well, with my fellow councillors, attended the Good Choices Award. It was great to see so many inspiring young people making some really good choices. And we all had the privilege of meeting with somebody out of our ward who did something really special, to hear from them about what they did. And it was detailed what they did, and it was inspiring to see so many young people in this area. Attending some of the citizenship ceremonies, it is incredible when you have a look at the amount of people who have come through, who are either new migrants to Australia or people who are permanent residents who have decided to become Australian citizens. Over the 14 years I've been attending, roughly approximately 100 people attend our meetings, and we have sometimes more, but sometimes we have one a month. So sometimes when it's a bit busier, more than one a month. I've calculated on my time on council, through the citizenship ceremonies, we've probably seen between 14 and 16,000 people go through those ceremonies. And for anyone who's never attended one or been to one, I think it's the most exciting part of being a councillor, to see people who choose Cardinia Shire to be their new home and to become Australian citizens. It's really, really exciting, and it's all about them. And if we can support them in any way, we always offer that. I attended the Safer Communities Partnership, which is where the police and councillors, I know Councillor Owen attends it, sometimes as a policeman as well, because that's part of his role. But we talk about the things that are happening all across our Shire, and where council can support and help them, and what they can do to reassure us that they're doing the best they can in this area to keep our community safe. I also attended, as I know some of my fellow councillors online, to the National Growth Area Authority's Symposium, which brings experts in the area of growth corridors to come together to share with them things that they're noticing that are trending, and things that need to be done in your areas or you advocate to get done, and help you to explain to people who are politicians or departments how you approach them about some of the dynamics that are happening in that area. I chair the Social and Affordable Housing Committee, and Councillor Jack Kowalczyk and Councillor Carol Ryan have attended most of the meetings. I know they're there. I must say we're doing some really exciting things in Kardinia Shire in this area. It can never happen fast enough. We need governments to commit and developers to commit to putting more social housing mixing into areas, so people who aren't so well off or are just struck hard times can get housing. So that's a really good thing. I know that we've got some exciting things happening in Cardinia Shire, and that comes out over time. I attended the Kardinia Interfaith meeting, which encourages tolerance and understanding and respect within our community. That's been going for over 12 years now, and I must say, you never hear them grizzling about each other. They actually support each other, and they support each other's different projects that they've got. I must say, Cardinia Shire, in the time I've been on council, has become an extremely colourful area with so many events that are run through the multicultural people to go with our traditional events that we run, which we do amazingly well. And I know that they intermix in different groups. I know on the Yakaboo Festival and different things, you get people who jump across to try and help out in different areas from their groups, and they even bring their groups along to support them. Also too, yesterday I attended, and I know a couple of the councillors did too, the Sikh Games. And the Sikh Games, who those don't realise, literally bring thousands and thousands of people. The Sikh community gets so excited about their games. I must say one game I find really, really interesting is the Kabaddi. Now the Kabaddi, for those who don't know it, is a cross between rugby, football, tiggy and wrestling. And over in India and around the world, it's beamed back to India live from here. And the other year, I think there was 300,000 to 400,000 people who watched it live on television. There's prize money. They win, I think yesterday the winners got $4,100. I found it really unique that the musical chairs competition, which had 100 ladies in it, the first prize was $600. It was amazing. The last person got $600 cash. And I said to the Kabaddi guys who have been out there fighting each other for hours and hours, you guys didn't even earn as much as the musical chairs. But I must say, amazing competition. So many thousands of people enjoy it. And for those who have never, ever attended, it is free to the community. They give you food, they give you entertainment, and they're really, really warm and welcoming. It's wonderful to see that our council facilities can be used and support and help people in the community come together and have an enjoyable time. I should mention the 3 people who have organised the last 4 events, Jadev Singh, Monty Sodhi and Mumbai Singh. These 3 people are absolutely paramount in the organising of this. And they literally bring, I think there would have been over the whole day, probably over 10,000 people come to that space over the day. Free food, free entertainment. They even put on, if you bring your kids, they've even got free rides and everything for them. So anyway, I think that's a wonderful event. That puts Cardinia Shire on the map. They see us as a great place. Everyone talks highly of us, and that's just free advertising for us. Anyway, that's some of the things I look forward to hearing from everybody else about what you've been doing as well. Thank you, Mayor, for my indulgence.
Thank you, Councillor Russ. Councillor Cameron.
Thank you, Mayor. Just very quickly, I haven't been up to much myself lately. I did go to the Kurup Senior Citizens 50th anniversary lunch. 4 of their members were inducted into their life membership. I did attend the Good Choice Awards, which everybody else has spoken about, so I won't go into too much detail there. The opening of the Mercure, and I too attended the Sikh Games, and I found it absolutely fascinating. They slapped, they punched, they wrestled, they spear tackled, they did everything. It was amazing. And I thought, oh, no wonder you're all strapped up. But anyway, they were very hospitable. The food was absolutely amazing and they couldn't do enough for you. So that was a great day. And yes, that's about it for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Cameron. Councillor Moore.
I'll try not to be long-winded, Mayor. I know that I did go to a lot of the events like the other councillors did, but Councillor Ross mentioned the Yakaboo Festival a moment ago, and they did the AGM for the Yakaboo Festival. They haven't had one for a while, and it's happy to tell you that there's going to be a festival for 2023. So I can't wait to see that on the ground. As this new committee, they're doing a fantastic and a big committee. It's really great to see this great lot of community members involved in this committee that hasn't been run for 3 years and they're still there. So all we can do is support them and go along and have a look at this fantastic event, our own Yakaboo Festival. I went to the coffee with the cop with Councillor Owen and Kowalczyk and talked about community safety with the community. It was a really great event to go to there in the shopping centre. I did go to the Casey Business Awards at Bungle Place in the morning with the mayor. The other morning, it was really great to go and see the nominations for the awards, being involved in that. It was a really great morning to be with the mayor and being involved in that. And of course, we've mentioned the Good Choice Awards, which was a fantastic event. And what a great event to display our youth services team, who did a fantastic job with organising it, even the food, the catering, the way the room was set up, but they really did a really great job. They've got to be commended in that spot. The little things that I did do differently, I did go to 2 citizenship ceremonies the other Saturday with my fellow councillors, and I went from there to Emerald to represent the mayor and the councillors at Graham Legg, our former mayor, former councillor of Cardinia Shire, was launching a book up there that he's written about scouting over many, many years. It was a great event. It was really nice to speak there on your behalf. I hope I did it justice on the day. I was funny, yeah. It was one of those funny days. But anyway, it was one of those sort of days to go through. But before that, we also did with my fellow councillors again, we did the 10-year birthday at my place. And that's not my place, as in my place. That's the youth my place down in Main Street. And what a great event that was also to be there and witness and have my fellow councillors there as well. The other day was we had the Merrinol 10-year celebrations of what they call the fire choir at Merrinol. They've got a choir there that the local people and the local and district area that have got a fantastic choir. So I went to that on the Sunday and for their celebrations had a fantastic afternoon tea there as well. So that was really great events. But we've had a busy month, councillors, and so I'll leave it there. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Moore. Would any other councillors like to speak to any items? I'll just finish off by noting I think everyone's covered most of the wonderful things that have happened, but I just want to make a special note to congratulate the Gembrook Cockatoo Football Netball Club, who on Friday, the seniors, Division 1 seniors, took out the grand final. So they are the Division 1 senior champions. And the reserves as well, as Mr. Evans, who is a local resident up there, tells me as well. But fantastic work to the Gembrook Cockatoo Football Netball Club for those wonderful wins this season. Congratulations. Great. Thank you, councillors. Moving along to presentations of petitions. Is there any councillors wish to present any petitions? There being none, we'll move along to notice of motion 1075. Councillor Cameron, you have lodged a notice of motion. Would you like to move this, please?
Thank you, Mayor. I move that a report be prepared for consideration at the November Council meeting outlining the impact of recent weather patterns on the performance of Council's roads, what measures have been undertaken by Council to respond to the conditions and how it has impacted the timeline of the repair work, and that Council write to the Minister for Roads asking for action and a reduction in the delay in the completion of repairs to defects in the state-owned and managed arterial road networks.
Thank you, Councillor Cameron. Can I have a seconder, please? Councillor Kawasi. Back to you, Councillor Cameron, to speak to this item first.
Thank you, Mayor. The increased community feedback to councillors and through our help desk in relation to the increasing numbers of defects on the state-owned roads and the slow response to defects reported, the Council Depot has been allocating additional resources for council roads, both made and unmade, the challenges with the persistent weather we have been experiencing. There's been a 91% increase in pothole defects in the sealed roads in June, July and August compared to long-term averages for the same 3 months. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Cameron. Councillor Kawasi to speak next.
Thank you, Mayor Springfield. Thanks, Councillor Cameron, for bringing this notice of motion to the council tonight. I'm going to support this notice of motion tonight. I think it's reasonable. I think it's considered and it responds to community sentiment that's been strongly expressed to, I think, everyone in the room. Information surrounding which roads are the responsibility of the Department of Transport versus Council in terms of maintenance is important in this discussion, and we need to do a better job of that, but it is a big undertaking. And the fact of the matter is people don't necessarily care a great deal about whose responsibility is what. They just want the condition of the roads that they drive on to improve. Now, I think I can say fairly that our council has been proactive in this space during the recent periods of heavy rainfall and road deterioration. And this NOM, as you mentioned, Councillor Cameron, will come back with a report in greater detail on those actions in November. But our traffic officers and customer service are logging complaints already that fall under the maintenance responsibility of the DOT and passing those on so our residents don't have to ring up twice and waste more time on the phone. And also by procuring another truck to respond to potholes and perform maintenance. So now we have 2 crews doing that. I think we're already doing a lot in this space, and despite appearances, despite what the community sentiment is, I think this report will come back in November and it will reflect positively on the actions of this council. Now, obviously, we can't speak for the Department of Transport, but we look after our own backyard, certainly. Just want to commend Peter Benezik, who's our GM for Infrastructure and Environment, and also acting CEO tonight, for his and his team's good work in what have probably been really trying circumstances over the last couple of months. But no, I think it's a great notice of motion. Councillor Cameron, you should be commended. I hope it gets up.
Thank you, Councillor Kowalczyk. Would any other councillors like to speak? Councillor Davies.
Thank you, Mayor. I will be voting in support of this motion tonight and would like to also thank Councillor Cameron for raising this motion. As a councillor, I hear numerous concerns from residents and commuters about the roads within the Shire, as I presume all councillors do. When these are local roads, it is council staff, as Councillor Kowalczyk said, it's council staff that investigate and respond. And it was confirmed to our council at briefing today that for potholes, for example, that these are assessed and completely repaired within 4 business days within the relevant timing specified under Kardinia's Road Management Plan and the obligations of the Local Government Act. And I look forward to this report. I am glad that we will have more information to consider. But where concerns are raised on state managed roads and intersections, the Department of Transport, known to some as Vic Roads, is the appropriate authority for assessment and management. A rule of thumb is that the state roads are the arterials, so any roads with a M, A, B and C number, or if you have access to a Melways, it's the coloured roads because the local roads are usually in black. I don't know anyone with a Melways. I certainly haven't had one for a while, but so as councillors, we don't have as much information available about the arterial road inquiries as our organisation doesn't have the jurisdiction. But at the end of the day, the community doesn't care. They just want the roads to flow. And unfortunately, I've heard numerous escalations from residents, feedback that their complaints about road hazards on the arterial network, that they're not being actioned. The left-hand lane into Cardinia Road from the freeway seemed to be a problem forever. I think it's okay at the moment though. But so when this happens, I can only ask council staff to advocate on their behalf, which they do, reporting them via the agreed channels and recording reference numbers. Last year I had one that went on for a very long time and I actually contacted Ms Crognali, the member for Bass, via her office, who then referred the hazards to the roads minister on our residents' behalf, and that got things fixed. But it's triple handling, an online report, a tracking and advice and resolution like Australia Post do with your mail, that should be possible, or even just having confidence things will be fixed. So I do hope that this letter to the Minister can be received in good faith, and I preemptively want to thank the Minister and their staff for their consideration of Council's concern, because this is a huge problem for Kardinia's residents and commuters. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Davies. Would any other councillors like to? Councillor Moore.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd also like to thank Councillor Cameron for bringing this notice of motion up. It should be handled a long time ago. I've been on council for a long time, and this issue just keeps on going on and on forever, and there's nothing comes about it. Nothing against our own staff, because I know they do a fantastic job in that spot what they could do, but the residents, our community, don't see it that way, and that's the biggest problem. They get confused between who owns what road, who's responsible for this road and that road, and that's where the major problem comes from. So I see some pretty bad Department of Transport roads that get left and they just get patched, and they just get worse and worse and worse, even to the point of the freeways. I don't drive on the tyre lines on the freeways because that's where the potholes are. That's where they are. So you've got to drive off the lines, which is not the safest place to be driving. But if you want to keep out of them, that's what you've got to keep away from. So I'm looking forward to something coming back, some positive results from this. It'd be if we can achieve something positively out of notice of motion that's been brought up from one of our councillors here, Councillor Cameron, I think it's a step in the right direction. So I'm looking forward to a report coming back to us. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Moore. Would any other councillors like to speak to this item? Just to say a few words myself before going back to the mover. It has been noted from our community over the last few months, there's been a lot of complaints about the road network. And look, the weather permit persisting, it has been unusually wet, above average, but we have to be proactive. And I think this is what this demonstrates, that we are trying to be, and our council officers have been proactive in this space to try and combat the issues as they present as best as possible. We can't fix everything the moment it happens all the time, but we try and as best we can, and we do note the concerns that are raised by the community. So I do urge everyone to drive safely and be aware that there might be dangers and hazards that persist at places that you never realised did, especially after another rain event. So just be aware and cautious out there, because we want everyone to be safe. And I look forward to this report coming back in November, and I look forward to our response going to the Minister's office, just asking for added assistance from the state government to assist us where we can to deliver the best safety outcomes for our local road network. I'll now go to Councillor Cameron to summarise this item. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Like everybody else, I live in an area that's got a lot of DOT roads that are very poorly maintained. So I do spend quite a bit of time logging CRMSs in relation to the poor quality of our roads. Patches that have been placed on the state roads seem to be displacing quickly, and also in other managed assets. Probably I'll emphasise the report that will come back to council, and hopefully it will highlight that council's been responsive to the issue, and that DOT will give us some information in relation to how they plan to manage their road system in the future. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Cameron. We'll now put this to a vote. All councillors in favour, please raise your hands. I declare that item carried. Thank you, councillors. That concludes tonight's meeting, and I thank you all for your interest and attendance. I now declare the meeting closed, so thank you.